Hey guys, I wanted to show you a makeup bag that I made, and I guess for lack of a better term, had a ton of scrap denim and some lining fabric in my scrap, so I started making prototypes, and this is the third one that I made that I'm happy with. So I went through some things and discovered what I didn't like, and in the end what I did like. So let me show you the features of the bag. We'll do a sew along if you guys are interested in seeing the techniques and stuff, because I'm going to make some more, and I'll be happy to capture details of it as I make them if you're interested. So let me know, but let me show you the details of the bag. The pattern that I have that I'll make available for you guys is going to be a little bit taller and a little bit shorter than this one is. So I made it a little bit bigger and flatter for my style of travel, and I always use carry-on bags, so I don't quite have the height that the normal bags have, but I can make this one available too if you're interested. But the one that I've got set up that I'm going to put on the side is a little bit taller and a little bit more narrow, so it's a little bit deeper. Anyway, so let me show you this bag. Again, I use denim, yellow zipper, top stitching thread to put the zipper in. Pull tabs are made of the lining material, and it's it's a little bit thicker than lining, so it's like a kind of a velvet, not velvet, but just a slick feel to it. So it's a really nice weight. That's why I liked it, and I can't even remember where I bought it. I bought it off some scrap table somewhere along the way. One of the things I discovered in trying to get the pull tabs in the center, I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to this stuff, and so I was trying to get it in the center, and I used two different techniques, and you'll see one is more centered. The one down here on the zipper pull is centered, where this one down here is not perfectly centered. This one down here I did a basting stitch to attach it to the lower portion. And then I started thinking, well, the zipper is what shows you the alignment. So on this one, I did the basting on the zipper, and it's much more square. Even though it's not perfect, I was still just a little bit to the left, so I didn't pay close enough attention than this one is. But I tend to be a perfectionist on this stuff, and so I look for the easy way to make it come out correct in the end. So that's one of the things that I'll show you when I do it. The next time I'm going to sew it on the zipper side on both sides, and everything will stay nice and even. So let me unzip it. I'll show you the difference in what I did. I did a drop-in lining. I've seen the tutorials where people sew them up and use the seam along the bottom and leave the hole and pull the bag through and all that. I just don't like seams like that exposed in the middle of the lining. So much goes in there and gets moved around. To me, that is something that's going to get torn up in the end. So I decided to do a drop-in lining, and all I did, I cut the lining and the outer fabric out with the same pattern, and when I sewed them up, I sewed the lining with a 5/8 inch seam allowance, and I sewed the outer part of the bag with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and that seemed to be just enough of a difference where the lining fits nice and snugly, and it's not down in the bag with wrinkles in it and everything. It stays nice and stiff. The other thing I tested was trying to get my stabilizers, fusible stabilizers on it, and let me show you what I ended up using. What I first started with is this Deco Bond from Pellon, and it's stiff, and it doesn't really turn well. It kind of, you can see the creases that it gets in it, and I did a prototype with it and I wasn't happy with it. It just didn't feel right. So what I ended up using for the exterior was the fusible fleece, and I bought a whole roll of it. See if you can see it here. It's 987F from Pellon, and anyway, I like it, and so I tend to buy rolls of things when I like it because I'll use it. Anyway, that went on the denim, and what I do is the pattern has cutouts for the side seams to form nicely, but I just cut the square out and I fuse it onto the denim, and then I cut around the areas, the fleece off the areas, and I'll show you that when we do the construction. That's what I found the easiest to get a good clean cut. And then for the lining, I used, they call this a medium weight, and I don't have scrap, I just have scraps of this, so I can't remember the exact type it is, but it's fairly thin to me. So, but anyway, I do know it's a medium weight. So if you find a medium weight fusible, grab it, and you can kind of see as I'm moving it around, it's not real thick, it's fairly pliable, but it made a huge difference when I put that on the lining. It gives the bag a little bit more of a substantial feel. So all I did to attach it is I did a slip stitch to attach it on up and down the zipper. And I know some people don't like hand sewing, so I was trying to think of a way to do this without hand sewing. So I folded back these edges on the lining 5/8 of an inch to give me a clean edge here to come along and stitch it along the zipper. I think if you just went back a 1/2 inch, you could bring it forward some, and you could use some basting tape both on this side and on this side, and you may be able to get this under the foot on your sewing machine and stitch it along here and prevent you from hand sewing. I know some people just absolutely try to do everything they can to get away from hand sewing. So if that's you, that would be an option. Let's see. So that shows you the lining and the end result. And if you are interested in doing a sew along, let me know. I'm going to be making several of these, and I'll capture all the steps as we go through it and share it with you. So let me know if you want to do that or not, and that's it for now. So until then, take care.